All right, so ready to go, Liz?
Yeah, awesome. Well, first off, we are so excited that VegOttawa is able to host this event with Amy. Personally, I met Amy, gosh, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago now. I took her plant-based breakthrough course and it completely changed my life. It helped me go vegan. Haven't looked back since. And I've been lucky enough to attend a few of Amy's cooking classes. And I can say this, I have never found one thing that you have made or made a recipe for that I have not loved. So when we heard that there was a cheesy casserole, I was just like, yeah, sign me up. Sounds great. So VegOttawa is really excited to sponsor this event. So it is free for all of our members. If you're not a member and you're attending, you've paid a ticket, I hope that you guys will consider joining as a member. It is 50% off for all members this month, so only $11.25, and it includes free access to events like this that we try and host throughout the year. Next week, we'll be having a seminar by Nation Rising talking about transitioning to a plant-based food system. And then also we try and do potlucks and other fun things. There's going to be a vegan happy hour that's coming up in the next little bit, which is really exciting. And I'm really happy. Caitlin, who is our board vice president, is here as well. She's waving. So yeah, we're just so excited that VegOttawa is able to host an event. I know it's not in person, but I think this is really nice because everybody gets to kind of come together from their own kitchen. And thank you so much, Amy, for being willing to host this with us and kind of lend your expertise. For those of you who don't know Amy already, she is absolutely incredible. She attended the, I hope I'm getting this right, Canadian School of Natural Nutrition, right? Yeah, so she is a registered holistic nutritionist. She also went to a gourmet institute in New York. So we are all so excited to learn from you and cook with you today. So thank you so much, Amy.
Okay, sorry everyone. Oh, there's my dog. You get to see him on screen. I just had to unmute myself from the other side. So sorry about that. Can you all see everything? I'm just gonna actually move the screen a little bit to make sure you can see the cutting board well. I just see that now as I put this in. I just wanna make sure the angle is good for everyone. There we go. Okay, because you wanna be able to see the cutting board. Okay, hi everyone. So you guys can all see clearly. I have 2 videos going. So you'll see, for those of you that are joining in right now on the live, this will apply to you, but if you're tuning into this later, you can't really change the view. But so if you're here on the live, you can actually pin both of my videos. So I have this one that you guys are seeing right now, but if you also go into the gallery view, you can see there's the cutting board cam, and you can see I have it facing down right now to my cutting board. You can see my knife and cutting board. You can pin both of these if you want to see both angles of what's happening, or you can just stay on this view where I'll be showing mostly what's happening just front on. But if you like to watch, like when we do a little bit of the cutting stuff, it doesn't hurt to have the cutting board camera pinned. And to pin that, in case you don't know, hover over the videos and you're going to see 3 dots. And then you're just going to click the 3 dots and it will say pin. So you can pin both videos. So if you wanted to do that, that's an option for you to be able to kind of see all the angles if you want to have like multi views. So that's one thing I want to mention first. And secondly, thanks to Liz and to VegOttawa for having me do this cooking lesson. I am very excited about this because I've done this class before and it was extremely popular. So that's why I pitched this one to Liz. This is a great one for those of you who are maybe newer to plant-based, newer to vegan, and wanting to learn a little bit more about cooking and using different things like, say, dairy-free cheeses, how to make things cheesy without cheese. We're going to be talking a bit about that sort of stuff. And also, this is a great one to serve to your non-vegan friends. You will be able to win them over. Oh, just someone's coming in. You'll be able to win them over with this one. It's a really good one. It's hearty. It's very family friendly. My daughter, who is just about 2 years old, she likes this. My husband likes it. I've served this to other friends. I have had a variety of friends make this recipe. And oops, I'm just going to mute you, Melanie. Just one sec. There we go. Melanie, just muting you. And people love it. And before I tell you any more, I'll just give a little bit more information about myself for those of you that don't know me. As Liz said, I'm a plant-based chef and registered holistic nutritionist. So I did go to culinary school and I also studied nutrition. So I kind of put both of them together. And I do a lot of things like this, cooking lessons, corporate workshops similar to this. Sometimes I'll be doing cooking lessons with a group of employees. I also do a lot of corporate wellness and speaking on a variety of topics for workplaces. Lately, it's been all on Zoom. Like even still, a lot of the stuff I do is Zoom because people aren't fully back to 100% in the world again. But over COVID, that was a big turning point for me. I went from doing everything in person to everything on Zoom. And it's just been a really nice way to connect with people, teach people how to use inexpensive ingredients and how to make healthy, nourishing, and fairly simple plant-based meals that you can incorporate into your everyday life. Like all of the food I do is vegan. It's 100% vegan, often gluten-free as well. And the whole goal of it is to make things that you can repeat again and do on your own. I don't do fancy stuff. I try to do things with ingredients that you can find almost anywhere and also cost-effective things because during the pandemic, people didn't have as much money. And even still, we're seeing the cost of groceries go up so much. So it's nice actually cooking plant-based. Like if you're new to this or new to vegan, you will see a reduction in your food costs if you switch away from, say, beef to beans, chickpeas to chicken. Things tend to go down in cost. So that's a nice added bonus in this economy where we're seeing grocery costs just go through the roof. And I'm also going to be showing you guys a more whole foods way to make a cheesy sauce, as well as we're going to use more of like a processed cheese, which I do use because I like that sort of traditional cheesy, and I'll talk more about that. But we're going to use a couple kind of cheesy things in here. And yeah, the whole goal is just to have fun. And hopefully I can encourage you guys through this class to, maybe try something different or maybe add this staple. And I also hope that you take away what you will from this class. Feel free to modify or add in new things. That's a big part of my classes too. Like I really am happy if you take my recipe and modify it to make it your own. Nothing is better to me than when you get the confidence making a recipe that you can add it, improvise, modify, or do whatever you want to do. So yeah, it's great to have you guys all here. Those of you who are live, and if you're tuning in later, nice to meet you as well. I think we're going to get started. So let me just make sure, just everyone, I want you guys to all go into the chat and just say, I'm pretty sure you're all from Ottawa. So if you can just go into the chat, just so we know you know how to use that feature, because that's where you're going to be asking questions. Just go into the chat and let me know which area of Ottawa you're chiming in from. Just wait and see, just to make sure everyone knows how to use the chat. That's the whole goal. Because if you have to ask questions, Elmvale, and I know Judy's just down the street from me. We have Hintonburg Bells Corner, Ottawa Riverside South, Copeland Park, Carlington, Alta Vista, Lombardy, Ontario. And Marcia's in Calgary. Okay, I knew you were from Hawaii because you kept saying aloha. So I was like, this person must be from Hawaii. And that's a very cool welcome. So we have someone all the way from Hawaii joining our class. That's very fun. Hawaii's amazing. I can't wait to go again someday. And that Hawaii is great for vegan food. So any of you looking for a good place to travel as a vegan, I went to Maui about like 7 or 8 years ago, and we had no trouble finding really delicious stuff there. There was a cool health food store right down the street from my house, and I found lots of amazing stuff. Okay, so everyone knows how to use the chat. And what I want to make sure too, do you guys know how to use the emojis too? There's little emojis that were, just let me know, thumbs up. Do you have the recipe? It's 2 sheets of paper. Can you guys let me know? Check your emojis, give me a thumbs up. And the emojis are right at the bottom of, if you look at like at the bottom of your screen, you'll see it says reaction. Sorry, it's called a reaction. You can even give me a thumbs up in the chat too if you want to do that. Okay, we got a lot of people doing the thumbs up, most of you. So just look for reactions. Patricia, maybe can VegOttawa, like Liz, or where is, if anyone's, oh, there we go. You got it in the chat. So you click on that. It should give you the link. Also, if it doesn't work, Patricia, you should have received an email with the recipe and the grocery list. So the recipe is actually hyperlinked in there. Okay, so it seems like you guys know what you're doing here. Okay, so we're gonna get started. We're gonna go through all the ingredients we're using. But first things first, can everybody just head over to your oven and preheat it to 400. And then also, you're gonna want your baking dish. Mine actually, I'm just gonna wipe it out there. You can lightly grease it if you'd like. You don't have to because we've got lots of liquids in here, but if you wanna lightly grease it, use a little bit of olive oil, maybe a cooking spray or a little bit of coconut oil to grease it. That will help so it doesn't stick. But this is pretty liquidy, so it doesn't tend to stick. So you don't have to grease it, but it does help if you wanna make sure it definitely won't stick. So you're gonna do that and have your oven on. Also, what you're gonna do, if you have a kettle like me, just crank it up to boiling. Turn on your pot. You can boil a little pot of water because we're gonna pour that over these cashews in a second. So if you can bring your kettle to a boil, we're gonna do that. So those are a few things that I wanted to touch on first. Let me just see if there's any chats coming in here. Okay, perfect. Okay. So we're gonna go through all the ingredients. So of course, as I just said, we have a cup of cashews. This is what we're gonna make our creamy, cheesy sauce with. So that's one thing we're gonna have. I've got some olive oil here, which I will be using in a little bit. You'll want about 1 to 2 teaspoons of olive oil. I have my onion. It's already pre-diced. I'll show you guys in the cutting board camera there. There's the onion already diced up. We're going to have a bell pepper. I'm going to actually show you guys the easy and fun way to cut a bell pepper. There's our bell pepper. And I have pre-minced, I think I did like 3 or 4 cloves of garlic. You know, the sicknesses that have been going around in Ottawa, like if you have a young child or if you're just like aware of what's going on right now in Ottawa, everyone's getting sick for like 3 weeks. So I'm trying to add lots of garlic to my food just to help fight off those sicknesses. Honestly, raw garlic is going to do a lot more than cooked garlic, but I'm just throwing it in everything just because. So I think I did 3. Did I do 3 or 4 cloves of garlic? I think I'm closer to 4. And then I also have 1 teaspoon of cumin. I'll put that in the cutting board, Kim. 1 teaspoon of cumin and 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. You could use chili powder if you have that as well. This is just going to give a nice smoky, earthy. We just kind of want to go for that like Mexican feel. So that's what we're going for with this stuff. And then I have black beans. So if you saw in the email, you can use 1 can of black beans, but if you have more, I'm using a bigger one. So I'll show you, you can get different sizes of beans. I actually like adding more. You can add black beans. I'm just gonna turn that off because my water is just about to boil there. So I have the bigger can. You guys can see the double can. So it's basically like 3 cups of black beans. You can go anywhere from 1.5 to 3 cups or even more if you want to make it super beany. I just find I like adding extra beans for more protein. It extends the dish a bit farther, but I have done it. And the reason why I say this is because often everyone tells me when they do my classes that my recipes yield so much food. So that's why I'm kind of giving you guys an option. If you're just one person, you might not want to do the double extra beans. But at my house, we tend to eat a lot. We're going to use this for leftovers for lunch. My child will eat this. My husband is going to take a huge chunk of this as soon as this class is over. So you can go with more beans. I'd say I have about 3 cups. Next ingredient is I just have about a cup of corn. When I did this recipe in September, I actually had fresh local corn, but today I just used frozen corn because that's what I had. If you're using corn from, say, a can, you're going to want to drain off the water. So the little corn niblets, you don't want to add the water, the brine in as well. And then we're going to have, so this is where we're getting into the stuff for the cashew cream. So I used onion powder. So I think I have it. Did I put a teaspoon in there? Yes. So we have about a teaspoon of onion powder. You can also see I added the salt. This is going to be going into our cashew creamy sauce. You could also use garlic powder. You could also use some fresh garlic if you want a real zing, like get up the garlickiness. I'm just using onion powder. That's what I have today. I've often used garlic powder, but I kind of find onion powder gives it almost a more sweeter taste than garlic will give it a sharper taste. So we've got our garlic powder. We have nutritional yeast. Do you guys all have nutritional yeast? Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you have it? Does anyone? Well, I'll tell you guys. So nutritional yeast, for those of you that are new to plant-based cooking, nutritional yeast is often used in when we're making like vegan things taste cheesy because it has sort of a cheesy hue, or is that hue? That's more of a color, a cheesy essence, I'll say. So we use nutritional yeast almost all the time in our house, and not just to make things cheesy, but it really does help to make things taste cheesy. Like if you smell it, it has this sort of like cheesy smell. Nutritional yeast is deactivated yeast. So it's not like a baking yeast. It's a byproduct of molasses making, and it's sort of used as like a condiment, almost like a spice, but it's used in so much dairy-free or vegan cooking. So today we're going to use it to make our cashews taste cheesier. I also make Parmesan out of this using cashews and nutritional yeast, some garlic and salt. I might use hemp hearts instead of cashews. I use this in salad dressings. I use this on top of popcorn. It's super good. So I hope if you bought this, you experiment with different things. This can make your popcorn taste cheesy. So if you look up like cheesy nutritional yeast popcorn, just Google that, you will find recipes. So I use this a lot in my cooking, and I tend to buy it in bulk. So I go here in Ottawa, I go to New Grocery, or you can go to Bulk Barn. I just go through it so much, and I do store it in my fridge to keep it fresh in case you're wondering where to store it. If you don't store it in your fridge, or if you haven't historically, that's okay. But I just store a lot of things in my fridge for freshness, like also the cashews, I would do the same thing. So I have apple cider vinegar. If you don't have apple cider vinegar, you could use lemon or lime. What we're basically doing is we're trying to get the cashew creamy sauce to have that sort of sour tang that you find in a sour cream. So I'll be using my apple cider vinegar. You could use lemon, lime. We just want that little acidity to give that pop and tanginess. And then we're going to need a cup of water, and that's going to go in when we're blending the cashews. So right now I actually have my cashews in here. So I'm going to pour these into my blender later and then add some water in. So you can either wait till you do this if you're using a measuring cup like me, or get a cup of water ready, or you could even just like fill up a little cup with some water. And then also we have our, I'm using a tomato sauce. I find this is from Farm Boy actually. So I have a tomato sauce. I tend to use about 3/4 of this for this recipe. But if you want, you can try to use it all just to use up your whole thing, or maybe save this for something else that you want to do that you might need some tomato sauce if you don't use it all. So we've got that, and my corn tortillas. Has anyone bought these before? These corn tortillas? I find they always break, but they're actually awesome for this recipe. And this recipe is fully gluten-free. If you're using 100% corn tortillas, as long as you check the tortillas are gluten-free, by the way. So if you're serving it to somebody who is gluten-free, just make sure you check. I find these aren't that good for making tacos, but they're like great for this recipe because we're going to be cutting them up and baking them right in. So these are good. They're food for life. I got these at Cardish. You can find them at pretty much the bigger Loblaws, health food stores. I think Whole Foods probably has them as well. Oops, they're just crumbling out because I had the bag open. And then I'm trying, I don't know, has anyone tried the Farm Boy shreds? I'll show you guys in the cutting board cam. I'm gonna try these guys. Oh, I mentioned 2 grocery stores. Was it for the nutritional yeast? Or no, was it for these guys, the tortillas? It might have been like Cardish. Over nutritional yeast. Oh yes, New Grocery. So NU and then grocery. It's the zero waste grocery store. There's one on Main Street, and there's one in Wellington West. I think I forget what street, but near like Little Italy, like between Little Italy and Hindenburg. So I go to New Grocery for a lot of my bulk stuff. They have a lot of really good vegan options there, by the way, and they really promote like plant-based eating, vegan stuff. They're really into sustainability, so hence why they're sharing a lot of stuff for plant-based options. They're really good for that, so I highly recommend you guys check them out. Also, where else would I have mentioned? Oh, Bulk Barn. You can get a lot of vegan stuff, plant-based stuff at Bulk Barn, and that's, I think, nutritional yeast. You can find it there too in like the huge bins. So it's, I mean, I go through so much nutritional yeast that I need to buy it that way because we just use it a lot. And then finally, I've just pre-cut up some green onions. I just sort of sliced them on the bias. So you can see a little, wait, there we go. There's a little piece. So we've got some green onions. And then I have salt and pepper. And I think that's everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually get going so we can get this class underway. First things first, what I'm going to do is pour my hot water. You guys should all have some hot water ready if you're boiling it. Just going to pour this over the cashews right now just so they get ready. I'm sure a lot of you have seen in cooking that when you're using cashews to make like a cheesy sauce, you need to soak them overnight. The reason why I'm doing the recipe this way is just to show you that if you are doing a recipe that requires cashews soaked overnight, you don't actually have to soak them overnight. You can either boil them in water or pour hot boiling water over them, and they're softened up much faster. Some people do soak them overnight, and that's sort of to sprout the cashews, which makes the nutrients more bioavailable, meaning that you're going to absorb the nutrients in the cashews more. But sometimes you just don't have the time for that, or you just decide on a spur of a moment that you want to make a certain dish that requires soaked cashews. So if you don't have the time to soak them, either boil them in water or pour hot water over them. Okay, just started checking that. And next up, I'm just going to cut this. I want to show you how to cut up a bell pepper in the cool way that I love to do. So if you guys are ready, if you have some little helpers, like I see some helpers there, maybe they can work with you guys. And I can't see anyone. None of your cameras are on, guys. I can't see what you're doing. But I'm going to show you guys how to cut this. So what I tend to do when I'm cutting a bell pepper is I first slice off the top, and don't throw this part out. We want to use everything, but you can get rid of your little stem. And then I slice off the bottom. So we've got it like that. Slice off the top and the bottom, and then I'm just going to cut right through, open it up like that, and then we're going to pull out the inside. And then I just like to clear out like that little bit. You don't really need to, but I'm going to clear out the little sort of pithy stuff on the inside there. I'm going to get this one too, just a little bit right there. So everyone should have their their oven preheated, and then also have their cashews in the boiling water, or at least soaking. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this into thirds. But yeah, see how easy it is to cut it open when you do it that way? So much cleaner. So you can cut it up into kind of whatever size you want. I'm just going to make it into, like, say, medium dice. And by the way, I haven't cut up my tortillas yet. We're going to do that as well before too long. So I'm just going to cut these up. But yeah, it's really nice because you get these very good uniform size. When you cut it open the way I showed you, it's a very clean process. You don't have seeds spilling everywhere. I'm just gonna cut that part right out a little bit. Look at this. See. Oh, it looks like my little gal, little Gigi, is not on the call anymore. She would have liked to be helping. We just got her a little stool that she can help in the kitchen. So for those of you with kids, I see a couple kiddos there. I'm sure you're using one of those stools, but one of the best ways to encourage young children to get involved with the food, and if you want them to be eating healthier foods, is really get them involved with the cooking. Like, I've always kind of let my daughter, even before we had that, just like if we're making oats, she kind of pours the oats into the pan and she sprinkles some cinnamon in, and usually there's mess on the floor, and usually it's a bit of a disaster, but that's how they learn, and things are slower and messier, but it really engages them in the cooking and hopefully creates lifelong food lovers if you start them early. So I'm going to actually heat up this pan. So you guys are going to go over to your oven and just put it on to, or sorry, your stove, and put it on to like medium heat. I'm going to just drizzle in a little bit of olive oil. If you don't want to use olive oil, you could also go ahead and just put some water in there to steam. We're basically going to be cooking our onions and our red bell pepper. So we're going to put those in just a second. I'm just going to warm the oil. So let's see if there's any questions. Okay, so my oven is preheated, so we're ready to go with that. I'm just going to wait for a minute, and let me see, what was I going to, Liz, did we decide? Can you message me? Are we going to do like a little giveaway at the end? Because I do have a Christmas, I guess it was like Christmas or holiday party coming up. And I was thinking we could do a draw at the end of this for one person who's here till the very end. We'll draw a name for my holiday party. I think it's on the 25th of November. It's a Friday night. Someone can confirm. I think it's Friday. The Friday. It's like the last Friday of the month. We're going to be doing 2 savory appetizers, a sweet treat, and a mocktail. And it's going to be like at 7 p.m. So it's kind of like a nighttime. We're going to cook together, make some nice appetizers. I encourage you to invite friends or family. I haven't been able to do my holiday parties, which I used to do pre-COVID. I would do them at Loblaws, and I haven't been able to do that for like 3 years. So yes, okay, good. We're going to do this little giveaway. So it's going to be on the 25th. So somebody here will win. We'll add you to the list for the holiday party. And I would love to see all of you guys there. If you're available, invite your friends and family over. My parents are coming in from Halifax. So for those of you that have been at my classes, you may have seen my mom on the call. She does like everything I do, because you know how A lot of us have parents who are like our number one fans. My mom is 100% my number one fan. She would honestly be on this as well if she wasn't commuting back from the South Shore of Nova Scotia to Halifax right now. But she'll be here participating in my class, and my dad's going to be in town. So we're going to kind of all have the appetizers together, and we're going to do a mushroom bruschetta and a classic bruschetta, as well as like little healthy energy bites. I call them healthy Timbits. And then we're going to do a mocktail. So if you're free, come on to the class. If you win, I will see you there, hopefully. And maybe, Liz, we can even ask at the end, everybody could kind of like put their hand or like say something in the comment, and we can just randomly take a name from that. So we know if people are actually free on the 25th. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so this stuff's ready. I am going to add my onions and my bell pepper into the pan because my olive oil is nice and warm there. Add these in. And then I'm going to also add a pinch of salt. So you guys should probably all be doing that. I can't quite see what everyone's doing because you guys don't have your cameras on right now. Normally I can be spying on you and seeing what you're doing. But today you are hidden. So I'm just going to add a little pinch of salt. I often add salt when I'm cooking right into the pan, because one thing that it does is when you're adding just a little tiny bit of salt, it's giving a bit of seasoning, but that's not the point. It's more just to pull the water out of the veggies, and it's going to cook them nicely. So a little pinch of salt. Can you guys, how many of you guys are vegan here? Can you do a thumbs up? And it's like, if you're vegan, or even pescatarian, I'm just interested to know because I'm going to tell you a little salt fact. This will help me. Okay, I see lots of thumbs up. Cool. So I actually found, okay, I'm going to show you guys. This is from Amazon. It's an iodized salt. One thing that I find for vegans is that we're often not getting enough iodine in our diet. This is an iodized sea salt. Just Google or like go onto Amazon, you can find it. I haven't seen that anywhere. Now, I personally, if you guys know me from other stuff, I do a lot of stuff with seaweed. So I'm generally getting iodine in my diet from like snacking on seaweed, adding seaweed flakes into things. But if you're not consuming seaweed or taking a multivitamin or using some sort of iodized salt, you're not getting iodine in your diet likely, or at least not getting very much. And it is a nutrient that people tend to be deficient in. So just, I don't know if you're looking here, I'll show you the brand on the cutting board cam. If you're just looking, just so you know, it's just good to think about, because Amy, if you're even vegetarian, you might, unless you're eating seafood, you wouldn't be getting likely in, oh, maybe you'll be getting some iodine from other things, but I'm trying to think where else you get iodine. Either way, everyone should just be aware of that, because I used to do all my classes when I was doing in the person, people would be like, oh, you're always using sea salt, like how are you getting iodine? And I knew because I was constantly eating seaweed, and that was like kind of the source for me. But now that I have a kid too, I'm like, okay, I need to make sure that she's getting iodine in her diet. So hence me just getting this just as kind of a fail safe. Okay, so we've got our onions and our bell peppers going. Can you guys just give me a thumbs up to let me know you guys have that on the stove? Wait and see. Okay, thumbs up, thumbs up. So many thumbs up going. Good. Or you can let me know in the chat too if you're on the ball with this. Oh, lots of thumbs up coming in. I like you guys know how to use these emojis, or what are they calling it? Reactions. So I guess they can't say emoji. Okay, so we're gonna be, just so you know, the next step, so you guys can have this ready. If you're like currently chopping, garlic is gonna be next. Garlic, cumin, and smoked paprika or chili powder, whatever you're using. We're gonna be adding that into the pan next. So that's coming up just if you wanna have that ready and around. And then we're gonna add our beans, our corn, and then we're gonna taste and season that. So you're gonna have salt and pepper nearby. So just have that stuff kind of all ready. As you know, I've got my prep here. This is good to go. So we're gonna skip ahead if you're looking at the recipe. So you're gonna go into the third paragraph. So we're just gonna be cutting up our corn tortillas. This is almost like we're making little like lasagna strips for ourselves. So I think I said 6 to 8. So I'm gonna start with, I'll grab 8 and just cut them now. Let's see. Grab 8 of these. So for our vegan and gluten-free, we got you covered today because this is a fully gluten-free class. I'm just gonna slice these up into nice little strips. I think I get about 4 out of each of these. There we go. Do that, let's see. Okay, yeah, I should get 4 here. So I have 4 on top of each other, so I just kind of overlapped them, and then I'm just cutting them into the strips. And meanwhile, I've got my onions and bell peppers sauteing. So I'm just doing, this is 8 in total. So I just overlapped the 4 as I was saying, and then you can see the strips. They're almost like, what's the size? Like, we'll say about an inch in width, and you're gonna get the length, whatever your length is, because it's a circle. So they're gonna be varying lengths. So those are ready to go. Oh, I wanted to mention to you guys too. I forgot to say at the beginning, for the cashew cream, we're gonna be using either a food processor. You can use something like this. So this is just the bottom of it. This is like sort of the base with a little blade in there. If you're using a food processor like this, like not a very high powered one, it's going to take you a little bit longer to make the cashew cream. So just be prepared that you may be pulsing and scraping down the sides with a spatula a few times. Even if you've got a bigger, higher powered food processor, you're still going to have to scrape the sides generally. You could also try it with an immersion blender. So one of the blenders that like the base is like this, where you can pulse it in, you could try. It would definitely work. It will just take a little bit longer as well, and lots of scraping with the spatula. I'm going to use a Vitamix because that's what I have. But if you have like a blender, you can also use a blender. And if you don't have a super high powered blender, again, it's just going to be scraping around the sides, and we'll talk about that as we get into it. But I just want to let you know to have your blender, your food processor ready. And also if you have a spatula, it's going to be very handy for this like scraping around the sides. So we've got our tortillas cut up, and we're going to do our cashews in our food processor blender in a second. And we're going to want to get the ingredients ready. So our nutritional yeast, I have the salt already measured out in with my garlic powder. I have my, right here, I have my apple cider vinegar. You could do a little squeeze of lemon or lime. And I'm just going to go drain these off right now so that I'm going to transfer them into my blender. Just going to grab a little colander and drain these guys off. So give them a little rinse. And by the way, people always ask me about this, if you should save the cashew water, and no, don't bother saving it. It's not like a nutritious thing that you want to drink or anything, like don't bother saving it. Okay, I'm going to grab my blender and actually bring it over to you guys on the screen. Sorry, I'm just off the screen here for a second. Gotta unravel the base. Okay, so let's see here. I'm gonna move my knife so that it doesn't dangerously, precariously teeter-totter right there. I'm gonna move these guys out of the way too. Just put them right on the counter. Okay, so let's see. You know what? With the extra tortilla, you could do like little wraps. They actually are okay with like, say, put some peanut butter and banana in there. You could actually like, you could even do something like use them as, what do I use them for? You could use them as tortillas. Like if you, they're not the best because they crack. We have the same ones as me, but like say if you have like some of these yummy little, I got these at Farm Boy too, like these little microgreen mix. You could put a little bit of hummus in there, a little bit of microgreens, and have sort of a little tasty bite with maybe some smoked tofu or something like that. But yeah, you could do it like, I would freeze them actually. If they're not defrosted, pop the extra ones right back in the freezer now because you can use those later. Oh, and also go give your onions a little mix up here. Give them a little stir. I'm just gonna make sure they're not too high. So there's a little stir. And then we're gonna add our cashews now to our blender or food processor and grab that cup of water. Grab your cup of water. It can be hot or cold, it doesn't really matter. Okay. So those out of the way for 1 sec. Okay. So I've got my cashews in there, the soaked cashews. So if we have any questions. Questions? Okay. Got my soaked cashews, gonna add the water in. Okay. Onion powder and my salt. My nutritional yeast. My apple cider vinegar. I'm just gonna give a little blob, like a little glug, just to get that in there, just a little glug. But you guys can measure it out. I think I said a tablespoon. So actually, you know, I'll leave this right here in case I want to season it a bit. Now, where did I put my lid? Oh, here it is. Okay. So I'm going to blend this up. You will hear the blender for a second, but these are noise canceling headphones. So it will only make noise for a second. Okay, so let's see how we're doing here. So the consistency is really nice because of course with the Vitamix, you can just get things super smooth. Let me show you guys. So you can see drip, 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 really nice. It's a little bit thick, a little bit runny, just like a really nice consistency. Now the key is you've got to test everything along the way. I always encourage you, if you're learning to cook, please taste test everything along the way. Every step of the way. Take little spoons, have just some small spoons next to you and try things out. Oh, that's perfect. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm just gonna try it again just in case. Just in case. Yep, that's good. So I'll throw these in my sink. So that is perfect. We are good. Can you guys let me know if you've tried yours and where you are at with your making of your sauce? Let's see. Hey, Judy, I just thought of a funny thing for you because Judy lives in my area. If you have extra corn tortillas, you could always give them away on the buy nothing if you don't think you're going to use them. Somebody will take them. Still blending. Yeah. So it may take some of you guys a little bit longer than me because you're not using a crazy Vitamix. So just be aware of that. It's going to take a little longer. The sauce can be a bit runny, and it may be runny, Natalie, depending on what are you using. Are you using like a food processor or a blender? The longer you can, the more smooth you can get it, the thicker it's actually going to be. Because if it's chunkier, it's not going to like thicken out as much. So you might have to keep processing. Oh yeah, keep going. But also you'll see like mine is almost like a very thick, what should I say, a thick salad dressing consistency. So there you see here, I'll put it in the cutting board camera too. Show you guys. Okay, now it's time. Let's check on our onions over here. So what we're looking for with our onions and our bell peppers is we want the onions to be just a little bit shiny, a little translucent. And at that stage, we know we're good to go because honestly, at the end of the day, this thing is going in the oven and it's going to continue to cook. So let's grab our garlic and our spices. So our cumin and smoked paprika. And we're going to add these in and let them cook for a minute. Then we're going to add in our beans, our corn, and I think that's it. Our beans and our corn, and cook that for another couple minutes and we'll just turn off our stove. So I'm going to add my garlic in. So if you guys are still blending, you can just take a second. If you see that your onions are a little bit translucent now is the time to add your garlic and your spices. Just give them a minute. It will smell really nice. If you're a fan of like oregano or like basil, feel free to add some of those in. That would also be a nice herbs to add in. Just gonna let that go for a minute and then we're gonna add in our beans and corn. Natalie, let me know how the consistency is of your sauce, like if it's coming together. So I just stirred this up over here. Here, I'll show you guys. I just stirred this up just to get the spices in. It smells so good in here. And then I'm gonna add in the beans and the corn. And all of you guys should have your ovens preheated to 400. Beans are in, corn is going in. And you could add more corn in as well. If you love corn, you want to add more than a cup. Just know that if you're using a baking dish, if you start adding a lot more stuff, it might not fit in the baking dish. So you want to make sure that it's not too much for the filling. Okay, it looks good. Perfect. Also, if you guys are spicy people, you could also add a little hit of cayenne in here, some jalapeno. But also what we're probably gonna do is we're gonna add some pickled jalapeno to ours once it's out of the oven. That's smelling good. I'm just gonna turn my stove off right now while we're getting ready for this. This is nice and hot in the pan. Just want to move a couple things out of the way here. Excuse me. I have had, we've had sickness going in our house since our child, she started nursery school. It's just been like a cycle of us getting sick nonstop. And I did a cooking lesson a few weeks ago where I was coughing the entire time. And it's been a doozy of a month with these colds going through school. But we're trying our best to be healthy. We're trying to stay on top of all this stuff, but it's like, I guess this is the age. My child is almost 2 and going to daycare and coming back with a new cold every day. It's like, I feel like she's only in school half the time, but I guess that's the life when you have a toddler. Just gonna give this a stir again. Okay, this is looking really nice. What you guys may want to do is actually, if you have a second, grab a spoon, try out the filling. You might want to season it with a little salt and pepper too, just to see how it is. But let's give it a little bite. It tastes so good already, actually. I don't think I'm going to add in any more salt, actually, other than just what I added at the base. But if you're a really salty person, add in a bit more salt if you want to pull up the flavor a bit. But to me, that's good. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we have our sauce. You're going to want to get your sauce open. I'm not really going to measure. I'm just going to kind of pour it in. So I just want you guys to look at your recipe, just so we go over this a little bit, because it's sort of confusing. Well, not confusing, but just you're going to want to follow the steps. So we're going to add approximately a cup of the sauce to the bottom of the baking dish. Then we're going to layer over half of our corn tortillas over the entire base. So we're going to do sauce, corn tortilla, and then we're going to add half of the beans and corn. We're going to add half of that. So what you might even want to do is like divide a line in the center of your frying pan, so you kind of know, okay, this half's going in the first round. And then we're going to top with half of the cashew sauce. And then we're going to grab our shreds. Are you guys all using shreds? Can you guys give me a thumbs up actually? And let me know which kind you're using, because I'm curious. I used another one. I just was at Farm Boy the other day, so hence why I have this one. But I used another cheese that was like really good and melty. And I believe it was the Daya brand, was actually meltier, because I tried doing this morning on, I made like little chickpea omelets and I put this on top and it's okay. It melts all right. But I found that Daya melts actually pretty good. And I know some people have tried Daya in the past and were like, oh, it's gross. But I feel like the recipe is way better now. Whatever they've done, it melts a lot better in my opinion. Okay, so we've got a couple Farm Boy for the shredded cheese. Daya. Okay, cool. But yeah, I mean, are you guys using the cheddar as well, or the mozzarella? I just end up grabbing this one because I want to try it. You could use white or orange cheese. I guess in vegan world, it's not like real cheddar, but we're going to call it cheddar style cheese. I think cheddar style. So we're going to start with that stuff. So we're going to do, the first round is going to be adding about a cup of the sauce to the base. And I'm going to have my spatula ready over here, because actually, let me clean this off a bit so there's not the cashew sauce on it. So I'm just going to get this kind of layered in. There's a little cashew sauce in there, but that's okay. Can you guys all see? Yeah, oh, perfect. It's right in the cutting board cam now, so you can see what's going on here. And then we're going to layer in our little strips of tortilla. Okay. So what I like to do in mine is I kind of do the straight ones that don't have any curves first. And then they go to the edge. Show you, I'm just finding the straight ones. You guys can see perfectly in the cutting board cam. So if you look there, you're gonna see a bit better. Here's a more straight one. Some straight ones. Let's see, can I get one more? And they can overlap. And then I'm gonna do my round ones. I'm just gonna push up the round ones. I might need to fill some gaps there. Some round ones on the edge. And I'm gonna I might need more for this one. For some reason, I literally use the exact same size tortillas and this exact pan or dish. And I feel like it's covering more, which is weird. Okay, so I'm gonna divide this in half, all of my beanie veggie goodness. I'm gonna get like a better scooping spoon than what I have here so that I can nicely scoop it out without making a big mess everywhere. Okay. And actually, let me just, I'm gonna move this for a second. There's only a limited amount of space that I can have here. So I wanna, can you guys still see? Oh, perfect. Okay, yes, you can still see that. Awesome. I'm gonna move my thing out of the way. Okay, and then I'm gonna put this on top of the cutting board. So you can see a little bit. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so this will go here. I'm just trying to always figure out how to make space. Okay, so I'm gonna need about half so you guys can see. I'm just gonna draw a little line down the center. I should scoop from this way. There we go. There's about half. And we're gonna sprinkle that over. Okay, seeing if anyone had any questions. But yeah, we always like when we're doing recipes, like you can see it, this is very beany, but like even growing up, so my mom really inspired me with cooking because she's very frugal and she was always trying to find ways to save money. So we didn't grow up vegan or vegetarian by any means, but we did eat a lot of beans in our childhood because they're inexpensive. So she would add beans into things like lasagnas and soups and just load in the beans because my sister and I were in competitive sports. We played a lot of soccer and we ate a lot of food and it costs a lot of money to feed active children. So there was a lot of beans. And like when I see beans in recipe, I often add like more just to make it more hearty and just make it a little bit more filling and to last longer because cooking does take time and effort. And it's nice if you can reduce the amount of cooking you have to do by like adding volume into your foods by say adding beans, which is a really cost effective. It's filling because we've got all that fiber. It also has protein. An important thing that beans also have is iron, which a lot of people who are plant-based, vegetarian, vegan, you want to think about your iron. So it's a good way to be adding in a lot of important nutrients for very low cost. Okay, so I'm going to add in now my cheesy sauce. It's funny when I make this, my daughter literally, like when I make any cheesy sauces, she's literally chants cheesy sauce, and she loves these. So if you guys have kids, this is like so delicious to them. So we're gonna add like about half of this, just like kind of pour it over. Let's see here, okay. And then what you're gonna wanna do is just spread it out a little bit with your spatula. Spread it out. You can kind of flatten it down a bit. And then we're gonna sprinkle over our cheese shreds. Like guys, this is one of my faves. Like I actually, when I did this in a cooking lesson, people loved this one. It's actually such like so delicious that I was telling my husband, like, I'm very excited when I know that I'm doing this in a cooking class. Some recipes, I'll admit, I love more than others when I'm doing cooking lessons. But I mean, everyone has their favorites. So, and we're all different in terms of what our favorites are. But this is just, I just love this one so much. So I was very happy when I was talking to Liz and she wanted to do this one. Okay, so now I want you guys to pay attention again. So we've got our tomato sauce at the base. We've got our beans and corn medley on top of that. We've got half of our cashew cheesy sauce, and you've got some sprinkling of our shreds on top of that. Okay, so now we're gonna add the rest of the corn. We're gonna tortilla strips. We're gonna add another cup or whatever ish of the tomato sauce, and then we're gonna add the veggies and beans, and then cashew sauce, and then more cheese. So let's do this again. We're gonna add, here, let me start with these guys. I think you guys can see. Yes, you can see. So these should cover the whole thing, hopefully. If not, I might have to get more. Now I can't do the nice like flat ones because I'm just gonna use what I got here. I actually don't feel like cutting more up, although you could almost use, I'd say you're close to being able to use this. Actually, this is about the perfect amount, to be honest. I'm just covering everything up. So there we have it. It's nicely covered. Then we're gonna get our tomato sauce. Pour that over. I hope everyone's keeping up here with me. I just can't see you guys. So I'm not okay. In terms of the shreds, I kind of just liberally like added whatever, a big handful. Like you don't necessarily need to do it all. You can put more in the middle, you can put more on the top. It's really just like your own interpretation. You can add as much or as little as you want. And we want to make sure that these are kind of nice and covered, and got tomato sauce all over because we want to make sure everything's kind of immersed in the liquid. And by the way, if you guys like are, in the future when you make this, you could add some spinach into the base there. You could add some kale. You could add in different veggies. You could add mushrooms if that's your thing. Like you can really experiment. Okay, now I'm gonna add. So I add the tomato sauce. Now I'm gonna add these guys, the rest of my beans. Okay. Let's see if you want. Okay, I'm gonna flatten this down. Okay, so flatten it kind of nicely, and I'm just gonna move this out of the way actually. This. So you guys I just want to make sure you're on the second last paragraph. So we've added the remaining tortillas, we added the tomato sauce. Now we're adding the veggies. I just added the veggies and meats. I'm gonna add the cashew sauce and then more shredded cheese, and I'm gonna kind of push it down, and then we're gonna add our green onions. Okay, so just gonna push that down a bit. I'm gonna add this cheesy sauce. You might need to get your spatula here to get this all out of your container. Let me grab my spatula. You don't want to waste cashews. These are one of those foods that's also expensive. So by the way, if you want to make this cheaper or make this more like school or like party friendly, like to use seeds, you could use sunflower seeds. Those would work well, a raw sunflower seed. You could also try this with hemp seeds as well, or you could make a tofu version of this. So very similar ingredients. You could almost do it like identical, but just use like either a silken tofu or a firm tofu, and make sure you're just smoothing it up by adding some liquid. But you can almost do sort of the same ratio of ingredients and use tofu. And that will actually up the protein as well. For those of you that are looking to get those high protein plant-based meals, you can make tofu cheesy sauce. But a silken tofu would be really nice. But just so you know, you can actually turn firm tofu into silken tofu just by adding water and blending it. So there's that option. And then let me add some shreds on top. Beautiful shreds. So we're gonna add the shreds and then some green onion, and then these guys are ready for the onion, or yeah, the green onions, and then like ready for the oven. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just crack some black pepper over the top just for fun. And yeah, if you guys have any like avocado or guacamole, like you can make up some guac and serve that on the side. You could do a nice simple side salad to serve this, just something super basic. You could serve this with some hot sauce on it. Our house, like nothing is complete without hot sauce. We like add hot sauce to everything, but we love the pickled jalapenos with this. It just like, it's so good if you have any of those in your fridge. A little pepper, oh, my green onions. Oh, I see some action happening there for Robin. Is it Edie or Eddie? And Artie? You guys can unmute. You can tell me who we have there.
Edie.
Oh, Edie. I love that name. That's so cool. And then is it Artie?
Yeah.
Very nice names. So nice to have you guys. Are you helping with the cooking, or are you doing the whole thing by yourselves? No adults?
My mom's gonna be the sous chef, but I'm doing the whole rest of the part.
Well, yeah. I mean, I could tell that you were the one doing most of the work there. Your mom was just observing, maybe helping you with some cutting. So you guys will have to show when you're done how your creation looks. So we've got, thanks guys, and nice to meet you. Let me just see if anyone had any questions before I move on. Okay, so we are good here. Do you guys see what I've got going on? It's already done. I've got my onions, my black pepper, the cheese shreds. I've got a little bit of tomato sauce. Gonna save this for another day. Oven's ready. So basically what you're gonna wanna do is cover it with tin foil, or if you have a lid that's like not plastic, like if you're using like a ceramic baking dish, you could use your lid. I'm just gonna use a little bit of foil. And then I'm gonna bake it for, let's see, how long did I say? 15 minutes. 15 minutes in the oven, and then you can take it out, remove it, and then bake for another 5 or 10. Like everything is pretty much cooked in here. You just wanna like soften the tortillas. You wanna warm everything up, and you guys are ready to eat basically in 20-ish minutes. So if your oven is preheated, you're pretty much like ready to go. So just pop it in the oven with a bit of foil and turn on your timer so you don't forget about it. So turn it on for 20 minutes, and then you can kind of just hover around, and I'd say 5 or 10 minutes is like 10 minutes is going to be perfect just without the tin foil. You will likely eat this all before. I wouldn't recommend really freezing it. I would say you're going to want to eat it in the next couple of days. If you don't eat it all tonight, make sure you transfer it after it cools down, transfer it to some airtight containers. You can store it for your lunches. That's definitely what we're going to do. We're going to have like probably half of this, knowing our family it's not going to last long. And then we'll put in Tupperwares or like little glass block containers for our lunches tomorrow. And we're going to serve it with, as I said, pickled jalapenos. We're like obsessed with those right now. I think I got them at Farm Boy. Let me see which ones are. Oh no, these guys. I think they're from not Farm Boy, or maybe they are from Farm Boy, but we are like obsessed with these. So these will be going on. If we had some guac, maybe we'd top a little bit on that. And you know what? I might even actually top some of these little guys that I showed you earlier. The little, it's a fall mix of sprouts. That would be nice to like serve on top to have some extra crunch. But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm gonna pop this in the oven now and put on my timer. And maybe we can do our draw while you guys are here. We can see, now let me think, how can we do this? So is whoever's free, just say I'm free, or like I'm available for November 25th, Friday, in the comments, and like just let us know that you're available. It's at 7 p.m. and we'll do 2 bruschettas. We're going to do a sweet, we're going to do a mocktail. So if you're free, let us know in the chats. Oh yeah, they might be from Cedars. Cedars is actually a really good grocery store for those of you who are Central Ottawa. They have so many like random, like cool, lots of neat vegan stuff at Cedars on Bank Street. So if you're available, let us know. It's Friday, November 25th. It will be in my little holiday cooking class, and it's going to be fun. We're going to have cocktails together, mocktails, whatever you want to do. And it's kind of a little party vibe. So invite your friends, invite your family. I'm inviting my family, and we will have snacks together and just have a fun Friday. Okay, you have a wheel of names ready. So you guys let us know if you're available. Oh, we've got a few of you available. That's great. So if you're free, anyone else? We'll just wait a second and see if anyone else is free. But yeah, also, if you guys want to stay in touch, I do have a mailing list. I'm going to be sending out my holiday ebook shortly, which is like a list of recipes on how to make a really delicious lentil loaf. My delicious cranberry sauce that I learned from my mom as well. It's like an orange cranberry sauce. Just feel free to email me and I can add you to my mailing list if you want to receive the holiday ebook that'll be coming out with my newsletter in the coming weeks. I also have a really fun for families. I have a kids and toddler workshop on Thursday night for just teaching parents and guardians. It's not actually for the kids, but the kids can sit in if they want, but it's going to be just learning about healthy snacks and meal ideas, what I have in my pantry, what I feed my kid, how to encourage eating more fruits and veggies. So that's this Thursday. I think the 17th is the date. I don't know. I can't remember the date, but it's this Thursday. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. And let me see, I think we are ready to draw. Liz, you can come on now.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So I have, you guys can probably hear it through my sound. I'm going to click to spin. Let's see. Can you hear that? The little, like, it's like a Wheel of Fortune sound. All right. It looks like Jackie has won the ticket.
Yay. So Jackie, you can email me just at info@amylongard.com, or maybe Liz can connect us by email, and I'll make sure that you get onto the list with I'll be sending out the grocery list, the recipes in the coming weeks as well, leading up to the class. So you'll have all that you need, and you can join us for a little festive cooking lesson. If anyone else wants to learn more about that, you can head over to my website just under the shop and you can see where the class is. So congrats, Jackie. You guys can unmute yourself if you want, because thanks everybody for being here. We're probably going to end the recording now. So if you're tuning in later, I hope you had fun as well. We're going to stop the recording, and I hope you guys all have a good evening. Just going to stop it now.
Thanks, Amy.